I didn't feel good about it because obviously it screwed my race, but I was a little bit proud of myself for like actually throwing it in there because I don't typically do that. So
JB and AC. The energy was awesome. Those two are just like really finding their groove.
4 straight overall wins.
$100,000. Adam Cianciarulla. Checkered flag and Justin Brayton.
Cianciarulla has won the 2019 Pro Motocross Championship.
He's gonna do it to become the oldest winner in the history of Supercross.
What's up, squad? Welcome back. Another episode of the AC and JB show. Justin, this venue we went to this weekend, the Dome at America Center, St. Louis. Man, you've been talking about this one since the playoff schedule came out, and you were grinning ear to ear this weekend. This is your spot.
Look, man, we're back in the Midwest. That's my roots. And I mean, where do you want me to start? You want me to start with how great the pits are? We're inside. We're in a stadium. You want me to start with the dirt? Where do you want me to begin?
We do need to talk about the indoor pit area because the indoor, anytime because the Dome there, it's got a little convention center attached to it. So you go, it's clean. The fans are comfortable inside. It was pretty hot in St. Louis, so we're inside. We got the AC, and that's one of the things that we were talking about in our production meeting on Friday is how passionate the fans are in St. Louis. I mean, how many times do you remember getting done with practice, getting done with the race, you roll back into the convention center, and you're pushing your bike through like a sea of people slapping you on the back, and dude, the vibe is high there. And I do think it's a venue that you very rarely hear riders talk negatively about it. Now, my only bone to pick with St. Louis was 2017, and we'll throw this clip in here. It's a really bad iPhone clip of the footage, but we had a double Dragons back to back. And fellas, if you didn't follow my career, me in 2017 in practice, it was a scary sight. So we'll throw this clip in there. Tough block pretty much saved my life. But besides that, St. Louis, great memories. And JB, yeah, I think you had some podiums there. I mean, vibes high.
Yeah, vibes high. And, from a fan's perspective, I don't think there's a better venue that we go racing at. All 31 events a year, I really do not believe there's a better venue. Because, look, you really never have to go outside. As a racer, as a fan, you walk into the pits, the convention center, like you mentioned, is huge. It's, climate controlled. It was like mid 90s outside, sunny and 70 inside. Like I like to say that, but it's true. I mean, it was really nice inside, and I love it. I love the dirt. I just think it's a perfect venue right downtown St. Louis. We stayed right up the road, so we're able to walk, to and from. So I love it. And then the dirt, a lot of speculation in the past. We've raced there like March, April, and the dirt's really, really good. It's got some moisture in it. Sometimes there's snow on the ground.
A little spongy.
So we were kind of, but I will say, like I talked to Tomac about this on Track Walk, the dirt has changed over the last 5 years or so. It used to be to where there was so much grip, and then there was a hard base to where the rut would only get so deep, where contrary to that to like Indianapolis, where the rut just keeps going. Like it's just soft all the way through. It's bottomless. So that's why St. Louis is always so good, is because you had Indianapolis traction, but then the rut didn't get super deep. So you could really push through everything. You could have so much lean angle in the turn and not worry about dragging pegs. Where now, Eli mentioned that it's even a little bit softer than in the past. So it has changed a little bit. It's still that great Midwest black dirt. And you and I, when we first seen the track, we're like, man, this track looks fun to ride. And we'll get into the racing. Didn't race extremely well, but looked like a really fun track to ride.
Do you think that if you go back and watch the RC and Stu days, and I've talked about this with Eli as well, like in the Supercross season, we have a couple races, Denver, Salt Lake a little bit. Every once in a while in Anaheim will be pretty hard packed. For the most part, dude, or Glendale, for the most part, there's so many ruts now.
Yeah.
So many ruts all the time. And I always see comments under old videos. I was watching an old clip of our colleagues, RC and Stu, battling at Washougal in 2006. I know that's a pro motocross track, but really across the board, I don't know if it's the bikes. I don't know if it's how they prep the tracks. I don't know what it is, but why is that? Why is it that because back in the day, you used to be able to go to a place like St. Louis and it would be ruddy, right? And that was cool. You go to Indianapolis or Seattle. You remember Seattle back in the day,
Oh
bunch of
yeah.
ruts. But then you would go and you watch like 2004 Anaheim 1, and it's hard as a rock. It's blue groove. Guys are sliding all over the place. I don't know if I'm just old school nostalgia playing tricks on me, but I kind of like that. I liked when it was a little bit more hard packed. So that's a genuine question for you, is why do we always have ruts now?
Well, it's a great question. I think there's several different ways we can go, because if you think about the 90s, you mentioned early 2000s, but like MC era, I remember guys not being able to jump the triples because it's so
Oh yeah.
ruddy. And then I think we came into some dirt compound mixtures that you could put in the dirt that hardened it up potentially. I also think the motorcycles, they're just more powerful now. That's just straight up facts. And then also even, and I think about when you first started saying that, I thought about when I used to tire test for Dunlop, like specifically 2012. I'm on factory Honda, and I remember running this hard pack tire with a bunch of knobbies everywhere, like all the time. And then remember when RV started running that? I forget what it was, but it was basically just, it almost looked like a
32
sand tire.
MX 32.
Yeah, was it a 32?
I think so.
And then we just started running that everywhere. Didn't matter what type of dirt, you know, ruddy, hard pack, whatever. And now it's evolved into a lot of guys are just straight up running scoops, man. It's just wild. Like we talk about it all the time. So I think there's several different things. I don't think they put the dirt compound mix, which they used to put lime in there. I don't think they do that anymore. Also think there's different attachments. Like there's this attachment they have on the front of the skid steer that like tills up the top
Rips it,
little
yeah.
like maybe 4 inches of dirt, and then they get moisture in it, which creates ruts and faster motorcycles and different tires. So I think it's a combination of a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I mean, what's your opinion on it?
I don't know. I really don't know. My only, I guess logically I look at it and I think, well, it's gotta have something to do with the motorcycles, with the four strokes. But even when everybody went to four strokes in what, 06?
Yeah,
I
right
think that
around
was the
there.
first year everybody was on 450s, 250Fs, but it didn't coincide. Like the tracks didn't get super ruddy right then. Even my rookie year in 14, you would go to an Indy or somewhere, it would be really ruddy. But I remember like racing in Detroit, and there's not a single rut on the entire
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
So yeah, my argument with this, and I know Eli, speaking of Eli, I know he agrees with this. I just like having the natural characteristics of each place in the country. Just knowing that when you go to St. Louis, it's going to be loamy and ruddy. And then, knowing when you go to Anaheim, it's going to be hard as a rock. Like I like the guys that can get it done in every type of condition. But yeah, we'll let the fans speculate. If you guys have any idea why that is, please let us know in the comments section. In regards to the track this week, JB, I saw a lot of people. I try to keep up with what the fans are saying, what our listeners and viewers are saying, and I thought a lot of people made the comment that the track looked a bit too easy. And I think it's a really hard thing to do a hybrid track. You don't have the whoops. That's like this staple of Supercross. That's the great separator across the board. And I know you're in favor of whoops in the playoffs. There's got to be, JB says there's got to be at least one round with whoops. And I'm starting to agree with you a little bit, especially now that I'm on this side of things, man. Especially now, it's a lot easier to say, yeah, man, throw a big set of whoops in from, level 4 in the stands looking down at the track. But that being said, it was difficult to pass. The times were pretty close, but at the end of the day, dude, the cream always rises to the top. Like Jett's lap time in practice the 109.5. I think he had 7/10 on Hunter. We saw Jett's first moto, came from basically last all the way through, almost got Eli right at the end. So it was still available. I mean, you could make up time. We saw that. But there was definitely, besides kind of that top 3 pack, that kind of 4 to 10 range, it seemed like a lot of single file. So was the track too easy, and do we need whoops?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. So what I think is, yes, one of them, because it's what people don't understand, and I think where there's some confusion through SMX. So SMX is the league, like it's the NFL, it's the
All of it.
MLB, it's all of it. But I think what gets confusing is the only hybrid tracks, Supercross, Motocross combined tracks that we have are 3 of them to end the year. So if you hear every rider, everybody says, "Oh, we're going to SMX now," which is the last 3. So I think if you just went straight up motocross racing at one of them, you went straight up Supercross racing at one of them with whoops, because I think if you're going to be the best SMX racer in the world, then you should be good at whoops as well. You should be challenged. And then I think maybe throwing a hybrid like like an LA Coliseum, a big venue, somewhat of a hybrid track. I don't know if the hybrid tracks work, man. I raced Monster Cup for years. You did as well. You won it in the last. I mean, you're defending, reigning
Oh
Monster
God,
Cup
here
champ.
we go. Here we go.
But I don't know how they just don't race that well. They just don't. So look, we don't have all the answers. It's fairly a new conception as well. So we're just getting enough data to where okay, are the tracks good? What do we put here?
Yeah.
What do we put there? Okay, some guys, I love talking about how challenging it is for the teams and riders. It's great. What suspension did you run this week? Well, I went a little bit too soft, man. That rhythm lane, I was bottoming out. All right, you have to stiffen it up. I love that aspect. But I just think, yeah, I mean, move in St. Louis in the dome, they moved the bleachers in, which was awesome. I thought it looked really cool with the banners all the way around. It had a little more floor space. So I think throw a set of whoops in there. The guys are racing full Supercross at round 2. I would love that. I personally would love it. The main reason I would love it is not to showcase the best guys in the whoops. And you'll attest to this. The whoops affect the entire track.
Yeah.
They don't just affect the 8 seconds or 7 seconds through that one set of whoops. They make you get more tired if you're not comfortable. They make you set up your bike different. They make you slow down on the rest of the track. It's crazy to think that if you're not good in the whoops that day, it will make you go slower on the rest of the track.
Absolutely.
And if you're good in the whoops, it'll make you be more aggressive on the rest of the track. So I love to see that. I just think there would be better racing from that point of view and more separation.
That's what I thought. I did the playoffs in 2023, the first year they did it. And that's what I thought. We went to Charlotte, and it was, to me, pretty hybrid style track. It wasn't near as deep in the motocross section. I just thought they hit the nail on the head. You had some braking bumps, you had some sand turns, some faster sections, but then kind of when you got to where the bleachers are, it was a little tighter. We had the couple long rhythm sections. I thought that was a true hybrid. And then we went to Chicagoland Speedway, and it was basically an outdoor track. You remember that was the race where Jett let Kenny by, and they were battling. It was a good race. But that to me felt like pretty much outdoors. It was, I think, a minute 40, a minute 50 lap time, a lot of braking bumps, a lot of ruts. And then we went to LA Coliseum, and I felt like that was pretty much straight Supercross. There wasn't, sure, it was a little bit faster. There wasn't any whoops, of course, but I thought the first year of the playoffs, they did it. They hit the nail on the head with it, because there's a couple different ways of, there's a lot of different ways we can do the playoffs. But if we did have basically a Supercross track, basically an outdoor track, and then kind of a hybrid style, that would make sense for somebody winning the SMX World Championship that's the best at everything.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's really difficult for a hybrid track, it's really difficult to make sure it's got enough Supercross, to make sure it's got enough outdoors. Nobody, even the track builders, they're not used to building things like that. So there's a few different ways you can do it. But when you said that the other day, we were at St. Louis, and you're like, I would like to see one of these rounds with whoops. I think I tend to agree with you. I do. And I do think like the racing wasn't terrible this weekend. First 250 moto, Deegan got to start. Joe was second. That was a bit of a snooze fest. But every other, with Jett getting a bad start in the first moto, ripping through the field, the racing was pretty good. But yeah, I guess our listeners, our viewers, you guys let us know what you think, because it's a few different ways we can do this. And I do think, talking to everybody behind the scenes at Feld, I do think they're open to, trying different stuff. I mean, this was like an unprecedented change in our sport, like bringing these playoffs in. And I do think it's a good thing. I think maybe we could get rid of a couple rounds in the regular season to give these guys a little bit more of a break. But I do like what the playoffs bring, but there's some wiggle room there, JB.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone's open to it for sure. I mean, remember, this is only the third year, and we've been racing Supercross and motocross for, decades. So that's not a new thing. And I feel like that's why, motocross is so good. Obviously Supercross is so good. When you blend the two, it just becomes difficult. And I think that's why the US Open was so successful, because it was so different. And I love the
that was fun.
spectacle of being inside, where then we go to Sam Boyd Stadium for the Monster Cup, and it just didn't, I don't know, it didn't really do it for me as far as just the style of track. But I mean, you made $100,000 one night, so did something for you.
I think I made like 250.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I had race win bonus, and
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
dude, I struck big there for what was like 30
Crushed it.
laps. Pretty easy. Tomac took it easy on me, dude. Tomac took it easy on me. Let's talk about let's get into the racing here. Let's talk about Jett's first moto. My God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super rare. One of the things that we were talking about a lot on Friday with the guys is how, I mean, Jett is good all around, but the consistency of his starts are kind of, in terms of a guy that has like a dominant race winning speed. Of course, James and Ricky, those guys, Dungy, Villapoto, those guys were capable of getting a whole shot. They got a whole shot plenty of times, but I don't think they were as consistently like leading the race from start to finish. I mean, how many highlights do we have of Stu coming through the pack or RC? And but with Jett, so consistent off the gate, and that's one of the things, pumping everybody up for the night show was one of the things that we were talking about is Chase, Eli, Hunter, they have to get the start on Jett. I mean, he's just so lethal regardless, but lethal from just how he manages a race from the front, which is really hard to do. But he botched this one. JB, most of the time we do not really have anything to critique on Jett, but the start was not good.
Yeah, you can see it right here on your screen. He was just a little bit late, just a tad bit late. And Justin Cooper's to his right. He outjumps him a little bit, and that's all. That was it. I mean, literally 3 feet out of the gate, he's already beat. Now check out his brother, Hunter. Like that is unbelievable. Unbelievable start from Hunter. And where Hunter Lawrence is lined up right there, in my opinion, it's make or break. If you don't whole shot from that gate, you are absolutely buried.
Now, Cole, take the clip back to the start and just Jett right before he lets the clutch out. Just pause it right there. One of the things that Jett said, I think it was on the podium, but he said that he was too far forward. Mm-hmm. He was too far forward with his head close to the bars. And what I'm seeing here when I look at Jett is because there is unlimited traction on these grates. I mean, if you just release the clutch and you don't slip it halfway down the start straight, you're going to do a backflip. You're looping out, rear fender off, pipe bent every time. And I used to do this sometimes too. But when you're that far forward, like Jett is, and you can get it done. You can get it done if you do that. But there's less room because there's so much force trying to pull you back when you let the clutch out. If your head is too close to your bars, if you're too far forward, well, when you let the clutch out, you don't have anywhere to go. You don't have anywhere to go but back. And so you see he's got you have to have a lot of core strength, but you see when he lets the clutch out here, he doesn't really have much. You see his head come forward a little bit. But if you go back and watch the starts that he does so well, it's more of it's a little bit more neutral. And then he lets the clutch out and he kind of sinks into his hips and falls forward even a little bit more, which allows him to, of course, stay controlled over the bike and not slip the clutch, because the more you slide back, the more you have to slip the clutch to not loop it. So that's what I saw. I think just a little bit too far forward. But after that, dude, watching him come through the field on a track that you're not really supposed to be able to do that, I thought that he would maybe get to fifth. I did not see him at the time. In the beginning, I did not see him beating Chase Sexton.
Yeah, you
But he
remember
had
you
the
actually
spot.
mentioned that. You're like, you looked over at me. We were obviously watching the race together, and you said, "Where's he get to?" And I said fifth, and I think you agreed because he was far back.
He
He was really
was.
far back.
But he had the spot. We saw it. He had this spot where he kept passing as he got. I think for someone like Jett that has that much speed, when you're coming through the field and you're passing guys in that, 10 to 6, 10 to 7 ratio, you don't really, because he has so much speed, you kind of pass people on accident.
Yeah,
You don't really have to set everyone up. You're just coming through the pack, and you really don't have to put that much thought into it when there's such a speed advantage. But as you get closer to the front and the guys, of course, are going faster and faster, then it becomes more of a challenge to pass these guys. And what we saw right here was this was his spot. This was his spot right after the mechanics area before the finish line. He would cut down in that first turn. And yeah, that's what started it all, Justin.
yeah. Right here, you can see it's behind Justin Cooper. He starts setting it up from right there. He gets to the right-hand side of him, squares up. Then he's going to go down the left side of him this next turn. So he gets to the left of J. Coop. He's setting up this next right-hand turn. Watch him square it up right here. And a lot of people will ask, how does Jett Lawrence make up so much time? It's honestly not like he's not doing this big rhythm lane or anything. It comes down to stuff like this. Watch him pivot, and boom, watch how much faster he gets to the first jump than J. Coop. Right there. He's already gained, 4/10 of a second in a tiny little spot on the track. So that's where, and then he does that around the rest of the track. That was one of the places where he could make up so much time and make passes. But to your point, AC, he started to have that in his plan 3 turns before that. And that's what's so fun for you and I to watch.
And him right behind Cooper Webb here, who we know the two has eyes in the back of his head. And we just saw the pass with Justin Cooper, and watch, Jett is going to do the same exact thing, but somehow Coop knows what he's up to already. I mean, Jett just came up on him out of nowhere, super quick, and watch Coop. He knows he's trying to cut down right here. He's trying to get all the way back to the right to block the line, but Jett's corner speed, even when making a pass like that, a lot of guys, when going to the main line in a turn, can hit a turn unbelievable. That's one of the things about Jett that's so cool, is that he can kind of make his own lines. And Cole, if you go back to the right-hand bowl corner before this rhythm section, keep going to before the 3 on. Other way. Yeah, right here. Watch, JB, you know how difficult it is to not let the back tire spin all the way around in an instance like this. There's no ruts. He squares it up, gets on the gas, and what you guys don't see from this camera angle is that transition from the berm to the flat. So how hard is it to cut back when there's no line, you're breaking the rear tire loose, and then you get, as you transition out of the berm onto the flat stuff. This is where he's so good with throttle control, with how he uses his clutch. The fact that most of the time Jett is able to just put his motorcycle in a place exactly where he wants it. Where right here for maybe you and I, we know that we want to be somewhere on the right side of the rhythm section, of course, but I think because Jett, just his technique, like I said, throttle control, clutch control, he's able to, that window of where he wants to put his bike is 6 inches wide, where most people it's 2 feet wide, which that makes a big difference, especially when you get kind of later into the moto, when sometimes when you're threeing onto a tabletop, there's only 1 or 2 spots on the track where you can cleanly get onto it.
Yeah, I think to the naked eye, when we watched Jett do his qualifying lap, you mentioned the 109 in qualifying practice. Like our jaws are on the floor because just like, oh my gosh, how can you gain that much more time than guys like Hunter and Eli and Chase? But he does it, and to the naked eye, obviously it looks fast, but I'm of this belief that from the apex of each corner to the next obstacle, whether it's a triple, whether it's a rhythm lane, whether it's whoops and supercross, I think that little space, he gains a tenth every time, every corner. And I feel like it's the rear of his motorcycle a lot of times. Like he can pivot, and I've ridden Jett's setup. I have felt this before, where his forks are so nice. I don't know if I'm on the latest, Jett setting, but I have ridden some of his settings to where the forks are so nice. And kudos to the Honda HRC team for getting it this good, but where you can pivot, but then when you get on the gas, the shock doesn't sink. And when the shock does not sink, you automatically go forward. I mean, think about like a drag strip car or anything. The rear is just, it's so stiff, right? Like it has to be, because when you get on the gas and it goes like that, that takes away your forward drive. So I've always felt like as soon as he gets on the gas, it's moving forward. Where a lot of guys, it's just that tiny split second where you get on the gas, the shock sinks just that little bit. You can't get hard on the gas, and then you lose a tenth. So have you noticed that just literally from the apex to the first obstacle, he's a tenth or two better than everyone on the track?
And for some reason with the Honda, and I noticed this one with Hunter too, I do see that. I do see, like you saw in that corner we just watched with Jett, he gets on the gas really hard in the beginning of the turn. And like I talked about, transitioning from the berm down to the flat part of the turn, where most people's bike is it's gonna sink in the back, which is gonna make the front light, and that pushes you to the outside. So I think Honda's been able to do it in a way where the bike doesn't look tall on the rest of the track. Like you watch Eli Tomac ride, and that rear end looks tall. It's the opposite of choppered out, dude. It's a reverse chopper. So whatever Honda's been able to do, and we'll get into Hunter Lawrence here in a minute because he was unbelievable as well. But it's like you said, JB, it's all those little subtleties. It's really tough to watch the top 5 guys ride, and to the naked eye right away, just be like, this is what Jett's doing. So much better than everyone else, but it's just in those small details, like you said. Hunter Lawrence, dude, Mr. Round 2, won Dallas last year. We had him on the post-race show. It was like our first post-race show interview. And after Charlotte got canceled, of course, H-Law was up there with us. Man, we talk about him a lot, and I think in the general consensus, that's a tough word, is that he is kind of underrated, like just because he's quiet, goes about his business, stoic. But dude, that first moto, like when he got the start, I mean, I knew of course that he was going to be, he had a chance to win, but that was dominant. And when we think about Hunter, we don't really think about raw speed. We don't think about him just straight up being able to pull away from Ken Roxon, who is so unbelievably good, especially on that style of a track in the beginning of the race. And I thought it was so cool that Hunter, like he found that raw speed. He was obviously firing on all cylinders, but he always looks, it's the same with Jett, but especially with Hunter, he always, like, nothing ever looks rushed for him. He could be a 5th place guy 5 weeks in a row, and then he gets to the lead like that, and he's just able to do it in a repeatable way. It's like he has his process, he sticks to it, and we'll get into this a little bit more later, but just I think his mindset, just such a big part of that. And Ricky mentioned it on the post-race show, just how even keel he is, never too high, never too low. And you could see that. I mean, you could see that in that first moto. That's a tough thing to do. It's not like he's winning every weekend, But dude, he got up there, led the race from the front the whole time. I don't think I ever saw a moment where I was like, "Ooh, that looks a little sketchy." He was dialed in from lap one. I mean, he completely dominated that first moto.
Yeah, he definitely did. And the most impressive thing for me was just how you mentioned it, but just track conditions at that point in the day, they're really fresh. Everyone's so close. And when a guy like Ken Roxon starts second and Eli Tomac's third, I mean, to drop those guys the way he did, man, there's just not very many people, maybe him and Jett, maybe Chase on certain days that could drop him like that. But it was really fun to have him on the post race show. And I mentioned that just it looked like it was really fun for him. Like it was a full 20-minute sprint. He knew exactly where he was going in every corner. He didn't put a foot wrong. The bike looked great. And then the hardest thing for me, and you race these, Adam, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but the hardest thing for me in these 20-minute races would be like your heart rate has been, you've been chilling between qualifying and race. And I don't know how many times I pulled off from a heat race, 6 minutes plus lap. I'm like, dude, I'm not making
Yes.
20 in the main today. I'm wore out. Like your heart rate spikes, you're getting arm pump. So to do a 20-minute sprint like that, man, it once again highlights how good Hunter Lawrence is. And you mentioned him being underrated. Obviously, it's because his bike's parked right next to Jett, underneath that Honda HRC tent. But he's a guy. He's absolutely. I mean, he's arguably the second best guy right now. You could
And I
argue it
told him,
was Chase or Eli, but I think you got a fair point if somebody wanted to argue that Hunter's the second best. I think he is.
I mean, I would have to agree with you. After what I saw this weekend, I felt bad, and that's why I brought it up on the post race show when we interviewed him. I was like, I started our open for the pre race show and RDL talking about Chase and Eli because in my head, based off what I've seen from everybody, to me, those are the most logical. Even though Hunter took it down to the last race last year, those are the guys that to me have that what Hunter did in the first moto. Like I would have seen that. I would have thought that would have been Eli or Chase,
Yep.
just because they've shown kind of that race winning dominant speed more often. But dude, it's scary. It's scary for everybody else because I feel like he's starting to figure it out more and more. And the thing that Hunter has going for him, and we talk about this with Tomac too, is that when he's not comfortable, when he's not having the best day, it's very easy as a rider to be like, all I do is focused on doing my best. And the process and all this stuff. It's so easy to say that. I mean, that's what you're supposed to say. That's the way you're supposed to think. But when you don't need, Hunter doesn't even need to say that because you see it. It doesn't matter if he's in 8th. It doesn't matter if he's in 10th. It doesn't matter it just straight up doesn't matter if it's not going the way that he wants it to go. You can have full trust that he is going to figure it out the best that he can. He's not the guy that goes out there, gets the shock wrong, gets the setting wrong, and spends the whole race thinking about how the setting's wrong. And he doesn't let stuff like that discourage him. So I think somebody that takes their licks in stride like he does, to me, that was the only thing left is that kind of that raw speed. I mean, I think behind Jett, he's maybe the best starter in the class, right there with Jett, first or second. I mean, how many times have we
He
seen
might
him in the
even
top
be a
3?
better starter
Yeah.
than Jett, to be honest. There's been times where, he's arguably better. I don't know
And
the stats on that, but
for him, he's a guy, he's so neutral on the bike. He's got great technique, but he's also a guy, comes from Europe, of course, Australia first. But to me, he gets better when the track is blown. It sucks. There's bumps everywhere. There's hooks in every turn. And it's just some of the end of these supercross races in the regular season. We're watching these, and that's where kind of him being so patient, him being so even keel, that's what it pays dividends in those moments. And so for me, to watch him pull that start and to have that dominant of speed on a track like that, to me, I would think that suits him the least out of the contenders, out of the top 5 guys. And for him to do that, man, it's like we got to start talking about Hunter as a guy that could turn into a championship threat, because he's gotten so much better, like since he first came over here, that, and he's so steady that we almost put him in this like consistency top 5 podium threat box. But then he does something like that, like what he did this weekend. And even the second moto, dude, he knew he had the overall, and he was going after Tomac at the end. I mean, Tomac caught up to Jett because Hunter was pushing him so hard. And so the whole thing, to me, like seeing him in the second moto still have that offensive kind of mindset of just going for it, dude, it's scary. It's scary for the rest of the competition. And he's not out of this thing by any means. After what I saw this weekend, I mean, Jett is liable to just, pull it all together. I think when Jett loses, it's easier for him to be motivated and put emphasis on the next race. You hardly ever see him have 2 bad ones in a row. But I mean, dude, he can do it. He just showed us.
Yeah. 2 things that come to mind. I think about qualifying as well. Hunter was second, and that's not typical of Hunter. You think about the last, since he got on a 450, you'd see him in the top 5 sometimes, but a lot of times 6, 7, right around there, and then come out and, be in the top 5 in the race. And I think that's where we get that what you're talking about. Just he's a consistent guy. Now he's got speed. Now, I mean, he's a great starter, obviously. Yeah, he's out. He's 100% on the list of this guy can win a Supercross championship, a motocross championship. He could win the SMX World Championship this weekend. He's 6 points down. 6 points down. So winner take all. Look, Jett's still the favorite, but he could absolutely do it. And the other thing is he had to pass Chase to get to Eli. He started 5th or 6th that second moto, and he had to pass his way to 3rd. He didn't start there. So that's another thing. Like he's just got speed to burn now with that consistency. And it's wild if you're Jett, your number 1 threat lining up next season is probably your brother.
It's crazy.
It's wild to
Imagine
think.
what's Dazzy thinking, dude. Like,
yeah,
those guys do. Yeah, we've talked about it plenty. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing about it, but the whole program, it's just dialed in. And what they said, what Ricky said, I think it was Ricky that said it on the broadcast, is how everybody's rowing in the same direction. Like how you've been on teams, JB, where it's just there's always these internal battles, and the dad or the trainer wants one thing, the team wants another. It's just everybody's together. And I think that we may see Hunter and Jett both retire on Honda whenever that time comes, because what they have going, I mean, it's like so healthy. Like everything, everybody has their place. Nobody's scared to speak up, and everybody's listened to. And I thought it was cool, kind of behind the scenes deal, but when Hunter, he just got off the podium, and that's how we do if you guys didn't stick around for the post race show, we have a desk there down on the floor, and he comes straight off the podium, like on this such emotional high. I mean, it's been a while since he won one. It's a big deal. Then he gets up on stage and he starts asking me about where I'm staying in Australia, when I go to Australia, and, just asking me questions about my own life. And I'm like, dude, to me, that's so cool. Like, again, it's so easy to, even there's times in my career, it's easy to like act level-headed, like when the camera's in front of you. Because that's the way that's the way you got to be to have sustained success. But he's just about it. Like, that's just straight up who he is. And I think we've talked about it, but the career arc from him, from where he came from, and just how you can almost see the tribulations and how they've sculpted that mindset. Like he talked about how he kind of figured out what worked best for him, and just to see the evolution, and he's just a well-rounded dude. He's a super well-rounded dude. He's got his ego in check always. And so, yeah, we've probably spent, I don't know, 75% of the time talking about Jett instead of Hunter, but I just wanted to make sure that we said that, because that kid's the real deal across the board. He's the real deal. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he had a shot to win Supercross title next year. Not one bit. But saying that, let's transition real quick. What happened to number 4, JB? Well,
I don't
that
know,
was
man.
weird. That was
You tell
weird.
me. I have no idea.
The only thing that I saw from my own eyes, his bike looks so soft.
Yeah.
His bike looks so soft. And we saw it in Race Day Live, that one rhythm section, which is pretty basic, especially for someone like Chase, to go 3 onto the tabletop, onto the next table, off into that little pocket. We were talking about how important it is to get the lift off the table, to downside the single. That way you can kind of push through the 5-footer, the triple, into the turn and stay lower. And he kept clipping it over and over again. And he would clip that jump, and in the transition, and his forks would get super low, and then he would end up casing the triple coming into the sand because everything's thrown off. So to me, where, like, if I'm not Chase Sexton, but if I was in that position, I'm running a Supercross setup, like maybe a little softer, click it around a little. To me, it looked like a soft hybrid setup. He just did not look like himself. He's so good in a straight line chase, whoops, rhythm sections, pushing through the jumps, and even that section, the split lane, where the guys would go inside and hit that little wall jump, the double, and then the over-under bridge, like things like that. He just wasn't. It didn't look aggressive. He didn't look like he had a sense of urgency. And to me, I know he's had some problems with KTM and in the setup, and to me, he just looked really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's interesting because we can watch people's bikes, and we've been at that level, so you can kind of watch, and we kind of bounce things off each other, and both thought it looked really soft, and we've both been saying for a while now how low the front end looks. Like, it literally looks like his forks are too short or something. Like, it looks that drastic compared to every other motorcycle out there. And then to be able to go off of a table and get into the pocket, like, that's going to affect you because the rear end's so high and you're not going to be able to get into that pocket as good as what he's capable of doing. So, yeah, I mean, who knows if that's the case, but didn't look that comfortable all day. I thought it was a track that would suit Chase. I thought he was going to be, with as good as he was a week ago in Charlotte, I thought Chase was going to be a guy, like maybe the guy. And it just didn't really pan out all day long.
And it'd be interested to see how he shows up in Vegas. He's pretty much out of the championship, barring anything insane. So it'd be interesting if he brings everything he's got. I feel like my gut's telling me he could have a quiet 3rd or 4th place or something like that.
He's 23 down to Jett. He's 4th right now. Still a ton of money up for grabs. $500,000 for 2nd.
Does he care?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
I mean, he's got to have what? He's got to have 10, 15 in the bank.
He's got that much set aside?
I think he's probably double digits or close to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see with Chase, but that was weird. But I do like the way I just read his Instagram post like a couple hours ago. I like that he's like, yeah, I'll let you guys down. I respect no excuses. It's a tough position to be in. I mean, Jett's the guy that dominates, and from a fan's perspective, you want to see it be interesting. And so I think Chase has a lot of people on his side for just who he is and how good he is, but also that is like he's kind of been the contender with Jett, like the guy that could potentially beat him over the course of a championship. So it's a lot to carry for the number 4, but
yeah, it's a bummer. Obviously switching teams here soon, so he's probably looking forward to that. Another guy switching teams, Eli Tomac. But my question to you, Adam, is how do you think he's feeling right now? Because you know how much he's loved this Yamaha. Since the day he got on it, he's had tons of success. He's loved the bike. And now we all know he's moving on. He's still getting these amazing results. He goes 3-2 for 3rd. Looks great. Pressure in Jett late in the race. Like, I don't know. I just was thinking before we did the post-race show and seeing him cross the checkered flag, I'm like, I wonder if Eli's thinking, man, I'm sure going to miss this bike. And I wonder if the team's thinking, man, I wish we had enough money to keep him.
You got to think. And I was talking to Wygant Weege about this at Charlotte. He's just Eli's all class too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Never. It's so easy, like so easy in the moment. I know he's a veteran, but it's not something that normally someone of his stature, his caliber, and what he's done. You would think that he would finish his career, especially where he's at now. He's kind of been going year to year. Very easy to feel like disregarded and kind of F these guys with the team, and just never, even during outdoors when he clearly wasn't comfortable, never really bad. I mean, he would say like, we're off, which is, I think that's completely fine to say, but just never bad mouthing anybody, dude. All class. And it's so easy to think about where the fans, like how much fan support that he has. And I mean, he's the loudest cheer in the stadium every weekend.
He is now, yeah.
Longest autograph lines. I mean, he's a legend of the game, and he's earned it. And it's really easy, I think, to feel kind of entitled in that kind of position. He's done so much. So I also just respect the way he's gone about it. Like, he'd just been all class to the end with Yamaha. He's moving over to an orange bike. That's going to be weird. That's going to be so weird. Seeing Eli Tomac with a Red Bull helmet.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Seems like a crazy move. And it's like, part of me, well, as a fan, I love it because, I mean, I cannot wait to see press day at Anaheim 1. Chase on a Cowie and Eli's on a KTM, and it's just going to be crazy to watch. But just because I can picture Chase on a Cowie. I'm on the record. I think he's going to be great.
Oh yeah. You love it.
I think he's going to be great. I just cannot picture Eli on a KTM with a Red Bull helmet. Like you said, I've got to see this one. Look, he's going to be great. He's Eli Tomac. He's going to battle for wins and all that, but it's just,
for sure.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it. It's just, I want to see how it looks. How's he fit the motorcycle? It's like, man, it's exciting. It really is.
And the Yamaha is a bigger, we'll move on here, but the Yamaha is a bigger motorcycle. Mm-hmm. Like it's in Eli's always looked like he can just snap the handlebars in half, clean off the triple clamps. Like the guy's strong, broad shoulders, whatever. Yeah. KTM's a small motorcycle. Mm-hmm. It's pretty small. Yeah. So he's gonna look like just a jolly green giant on that thing. I think, with Jett potentially closing on this championship with Hunter's ride, Eli's performance kind of gets lost and all that. Yeah. But dude, solid, still doing it, still up there, running the pace. He's got a shot. I think Vegas suits him more than this weekend did. Yeah, just looking at the track map, a little faster, a little bit more fast. Yeah, outdoor sections. So Eli Tomac, don't sleep on him. It's going to be so weird. To see him on a KTM. But every time he's out there right now, dude, let's just try to appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, to your point, the opening ceremonies, or when he's on the podium, the fans go crazy. I mean, they absolutely go crazy. And you can tell, like, by the look on his face, he enjoys it. And he should. Yeah. He's earned every bit of that. It's cool to see.
And he's the guy now. I thought, it's not really a criticism, but I thought Jett this weekend on the podium in the press conference, thought he looked a little disinterested. Yeah. Like a little bit over it. And it's so funny, carrying the weight of those expectations and all that and winning as much as he has. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to overcome inside your own head to like really show up and have a good time every weekend. But it's just funny that Eli's the guy that's always seems like the most bouncy, the most into it. He's always got that. He still doesn't give away much. He's kind of got that stoic demeanor, but you can tell if you've been an Eli Tomac fan long enough, you can just tell when he's stoked. And yeah, it's cool, man. He's earned it. He deserves that.
Mm-hmm. Two more things for me on the 450 class. Cooper Webb, second moto. We had a Coop sighting. That was solid. Fourth. We talked about him a lot in the pre-show, just about how, in a dome, bowl berm, soft dirt, he rose up in that second moto. So that was good to see. And then the last one for me is Joey Savacci. You and I have talked about him several times off air and on air, just how much, he's so good. He's a great, great rider. and we don't talk about him enough. And we've felt like lately, you know, obviously didn't see him much through pro motocross, but lately he hasn't really lived up to those expectations. And that second moto, 7th, right in the mix, right behind that lead group. So I thought that was pretty good.
I thought that was great. And Joey, like you said, I think he's found his niche of kind of where he fits in, doing the off-season races. I believe he's going to Australia this off-season too. He's done some World SX stuff in the past. Yeah, I still feel bad about 2020.
Yeah,
I still feel
messed
bad.
up his career.
So we got to talk
Your
about
fault.
Joey Savacci more often. He's a good rider, and especially Supercross, dude. Remember those 250 days, like 2017, 2018? Osborne, of course, cleaned him out for the title in 17, but he was good outdoors too. He was good outdoors, got some race wins. So yeah, shout out Joey Savacci. And that's it for me. Well, yeah, I mean, whether the track was too easy or not, there was somebody that I guess you could say found a way to make a pass. And that's Levi Kitchen. We're going to have him on the show now. Let's bring him on.
Levi, welcome to the show. Appreciate you taking the time today. What's a Monday afternoon? What are you up to right now?
Just chilling outside. I just went for a swim with Ken, and yeah, I'll maybe go for a little bike ride this afternoon. But it's pretty mellow. I mean, weather's getting a little better here in Florida, so yeah, chill out and then ride a couple days this week.
I think that swimming is a little slept on, Levi. Like I remember doing that. So when I was training with Peter Park, I started swimming a little bit. And dude, it's like as opposed to running or a road bike or doing the skier or whatever, like it's pretty difficult, but it also kind of puts you in a good mood, I think. Like some about the breathing, or I don't know what it is, but I like swimming.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And it's easy on the body. Like no matter how sore I am or whatever, like hopping in the pool is nice. It's not super strenuous, I guess you could say. So yeah, every Monday for the last like 3 months probably I've swam. Me and Ken just go swim. So I like it. I could actually feel I'm getting better. Like I got flip turns down and stuff, which makes it way
Oh
more.
yeah, let's go.
So, yeah, I can actually like swim like nonstop for quite a while. So that's fun. But no, I enjoy it, and it's so dang hot in Florida. Like they keep the pool pretty cool, like cool where I go. So it's nice to go kind of hop in and cool off.
How about that relationship between you and Ken? You guys are getting pretty tight, huh? Like little mentor to you now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I moved down here, like me and Ken were friends, but I would say we've gotten closer, obviously, as the years have went on. And I'm sure even like Adam knows, like Ken's a good. I probably just replaced Adam in a sense. I mean, no, but Ken, he's a good dude, and he's there to like if you're buddies with Ken, I think he'll do anything to help you. And I think that's whether you're racing the guy or not. To be honest. Yeah, I don't know, just anything little, any questions I have, like the guy's pretty much lived it, and yeah, we're pretty good buddies now, and we see each other pretty often, and really the whole group around Claremont's pretty good right now.
It's funny how mellow Ken is now. I think all three of us know Ken pretty well. JB, were teammates with him for a long time. It's funny contrasting when he first came over. We started training with Eldon in 2013. Obviously, he was super young, but talk about a short attention span, dude. That guy was like a goldfish, man, bouncing around, always had to be doing something. Like it was just, and now he's like a kind of mellow family man, like you said, and he'll do anything for his friends. Like Ken's kind of got that magnetic personality thing going where he brings everybody up. But to the race this weekend, so we'll start here. So you had a pretty mellow weekend, of course, at the race. I mean, it's honestly, it's hard to find any content, like to ask any question. But let's talk about that practice start, dude. Like you said, you were sore. It was probably from that, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what the hell had happened. Like I was just going and thought I did an okay start. I mean, it still wasn't very good, but then all of a sudden, just like out of left field, I just get smoked. And next thing, I mean, it all happens so fast, as you know. Next thing you know, I'm just laying on the ground, can't breathe. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, my day's going to go like this. So it fired me up pretty good. And then I got up. First lap I threw down, went to the top of the board. And then I was actually going to leave. So I pulled off, talked to my mechanic. He was like, maybe just ride a little bit more. So rode some more, never really did another good lap. Tried, but crashed in the sand.
Saw that.
Yeah, dude, I felt like hurlings in the sand, like, honestly. But I knew there was no way I was going to do that in the race because I would just crash. But, like, the one that they showed me crashing, that was like, I'm just going to go as fast as I can. So, anyway, yeah, I was pretty sore from that. And then, I mean, yeah, anything else from Saturday night?
JB, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty.
we didn't really see you much. We just really had that crash in the sand, on Race Day Live that AC, we kind of dissected that a little bit, a couple laps in a row. But yeah, the race, I mean, pretty mellow, 5:12, first moto, pretty good. What happened in the
Yeah,
second moto that you got 12th? I don't really know.
yeah, no. The first moto was, it was okay. Like, it wasn't great, obviously. Worked my way from a pretty bad start, and then honestly, the pace was super high, like higher than I expected, and everybody was going really fast. Like, and I didn't feel like there was really much separation, um, except for maybe the sand. But you kind of have to send it in there and hope you get out of it good. So, um, yeah, that the Moto one I wasn't too disappointed in, but I was looking forward to the second Moto and got a better start, and then I just I wanted to get to the front as quick as I can. Saw an opening. I don't really have, I've always been pretty mellow as far as a racer goes, and like, Mitch has always told me like, dude, you got to be more aggressive, and I saw an opening, took it. I mean, honestly, I knew in the circumstances like going into this weekend, I got, you know, a podium in Charlotte, then that obviously I get docked, so lose that, lose some points. So this weekend I was like, I got to make something happen, and yeah, I mean, I ran it in there. Obviously, it didn't go how I had planned, but I mean, yeah, that's kind of.
But
And then unfortunately, I couldn't move up after that, but.
it's not something though. Like my question, I guess, it's not something like you're sitting on the line or you're thinking about it during the week and you're like, dude, I'm really going to tee him up this weekend. Like I'm really going to get him. Cause I think that there's some people that probably think that you just had it out for him or something. But
Mhm.
to me, and we were all talking after the race about it. But it's weird because you are so mellow. Like even if somebody gives it to you a little bit, like you'll give it to them back, but you're the type of guy that you would rather race clean, I
Mhm.
think, for the most part. So it wasn't like you were going out there to do that, right?
No, for sure, and I think if you just look at my past, races, it'd be different if I was a guy who did something like that all the time. But no, I simply knew I needed to get to the front if I wanted any chance at, getting a podium. And that was my goal coming in. Like, if I can get, I mean, a win would have been great, obviously, but even after the first one, I'm like, all right, a 5-1 is going to get me a second or third. Like, that's how it normally goes. And that's all I could think about. So I finally got a good start. And it didn't matter what color bike or what it was. Like, there was just, after the sand there, I shot across, there was an opening, and the unfortunate part is I have really zero experience like trying to do that, what I did. So, yeah, I mean, I failed at it miserably. Like, there was a point where when I went in, I thought for sure like there was really not going to be an issue, and then there's like 4 ruts, and I hit them all, and the thing is, he like, and I give him props, dude. He leaned into me so hard, like he was not backing out, and obviously it was pretty late in the turn too, so I don't even know if he was aware I was there, but yeah, and then that's kind of the way it went. It just both went down, and um, after that, it was just basically a freight train, and yeah.
Yeah, I will say the one criticism really throughout your career so far, Levi, is to what Mitch had said. I mean, it seems like it's very start dependent. You have as much speed as anybody at any time. It's just sometimes when you get a bad start, you kind of stay there. So there is that. I mean, you're trying to get better at that. It was just a little untimely. And then, like you mentioned, the ruts are what really messed everything up. Like if you get in there and there's no ruts, you make the pass, even if you knock him down and you don't go down, it doesn't seem near as bad because your angle wasn't terrible. It's just the ruts, and then the way you crashed made it looked extra spectacular.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And I went back and made sure, like, I watched it several times because I'm like, man, like, did I full on just T-bone this guy? Or, like, what, like, how bad was this? And, I mean, people obviously hate me afterwards. Like, it's kind of goes both ways. But, like, if you look at, if you slow everything down, there's really no point where I'm, like, actually, like, teeing him up. Like, yeah, I mean, we come together and we're hitting radiator, but I can't tell you how many times that happens in Supercross, and I just think that it doesn't happen enough anymore lately. And I'm not saying it should, but like, man, that was pretty standard, 15 years ago. I mean, something
Oh
like
yeah.
that. And unfortunately, and that's what I talked to Ezra Lusk about afterwards. Like, he's obviously with the AMA now, and we had talked, and he was just like, man, like, you just didn't. You didn't really execute it properly. He's like, you should have been able to slide your back end more and turn down out of it more.
Mm.
And now watching it back, like, yeah, but I also have zero experience doing that. So, yeah, it didn't really turn out obviously how I expected. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of money on the line, and like, like I've told a couple people, I mean, had I made it stick and get a podium, even if it's second at Vegas overall, I mean, that's 250 grand in my pocket. Like, I've kind of gotten to the point now, especially after the year I've had, like, I don't really care what it takes. Like, I'm just trying to to financially do the best I can, and go out there and do the best I can, really. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way it went down, and I'm all right with it, honestly. I mean, obviously I got one coming, and if he wants to do that, like, it's all good. I completely understand. And, now going into Vegas, he has a lot more to lose than I do. So, I don't know.
But I think in general, yeah, I mean, in general, you are trying to, of course, advance your career. And so I imagine your mindset is like, I just have to be more aggressive, period. I mean, it's probably the same thing, probably the same mindset you took into Charlotte, right? Like if you're stagnant in the sport and you're not showing that you're making steps to go to the next level, I mean, that's going to dramatically affect your next contract, what you're making on your next contract, your potential to have a factory 450 ride and all that stuff. So I think, yeah, it's important to highlight for people that it comes from a place of just like knowing that you got to just get better and figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, and this, like, it's pretty motivating for me, actually, because I the races I've won in the past, like, yeah, I rip a start and I win. Like, that's not something I need to work on. I know I can do that, but the thing I do need to work on that I've I don't I'm not good at working through the pack, and I know that the best guys, they work through the pack early, and um even Ken is a good example of that. I mean, when he's on and he can move through the pack, like, that's helped him tremendously throughout his career. And um especially in a supercross situation, like, it's just that racecraft, and I'm still obviously trying to get better with my racecraft, and obviously a move like that wasn't really great, but had it worked out and had I stayed up, I mean, it would have been fine. And I don't think if I was a little bit closer, I think entering that turn, now that I look back, and he could have, maybe saw a wheel sooner, it would have been a standard. We bump. I don't even think he goes down. Maybe he goes up into the blocks and I'm out of there and I made a pass. So, um, yeah, there was a little bit of misjudgment on my part, but like, I don't know. I want to, you can only learn. So, I mean, sometimes you got to make mistakes like that. And I learned from it. And, he's also now going to know that I'm not really afraid if that's what it comes down to. I mean, obviously he's not going to be even in my class for, he'll be moving up soon, but I don't know, like I'm kind of at the point where, yeah, I'm just going to try to do the best I can, obviously. And, I guess that's kind of just how it went the other night.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Levi, is there's a little bit of history, right? I mean, I think back of the tweets or Instagram, I can't remember what it was, but you guys going back and forth, and then you get sick, you can't race west. There was some jabs thrown a little bit there. I think about, wasn't it at a outdoor national where he passed you late, said he knew you were going to get tired, he's trained with you before. So there's things in the past that have happened, but it wasn't because of those things. Then all of a sudden you retaliated at St. Louis in the playoffs. So I think that's where the misconception is of like, oh, he's had this coming for a long time and Levi's just waited till this specific time. It was none of that, right?
No, and I think that's what, like, I'm glad that's kind of the reason I wanted to get on here, is just because, like, and it probably maybe to some people it sounds worse. There's no reason other than the simple fact that, like, I saw an opening, I wanted to get to the front, and I completely misjudged how to do that. Like, I don't really know how to do it. And now, does all that stuff that makes me sleep better at night? Like, if it was somebody else who's been nothing but awesome to me and super nice and friendly, and we go to dinner or whatever, I'll, like, then I would feel a little bit more bad. But, like, I don't, like, that's kind of a little bit of it's like, what do you expect? I mean, at some point that's gonna happen. I just happen to be that guy. And there's other people that'll race him hard. I feel Joe is one of the only other people that'll get in there. And um, it depends. Even Juju, when during Supercross, like, I don't know, you're just gonna. That goes with anybody. I mean, you can't really let them, I guess, walk all over you or whoever the case is. I mean, it just doesn't really work. So,
I mean, in general, with Haiden, the way that his whole bravado, like what he's about, that, I mean, if you remember, Levi, watching dirt bikes when you were young, you remember when Barsha came into the 250 class, dude, and it was kind of the same thing. Like, Purcell was the only guy that would ever do anything. And when you have that Barsha thing going for you, and obviously you're really fast like Haiden is, it almost makes everything easier. For it almost makes everything easier because, like you said, I mean, I think I talked to a lot of people, just a lot of people in the industry after that happened, and a lot of people were like surprised that it took this long for it to happen. And I don't think that there's necessarily, the way Haiden, I'm not here to bash the way Haiden goes about doing that, because you can't argue with results at the end of the day. I mean, the guy's been unbelievable. But I think, when he looks back at stuff like this 5 years from now, he's going to know that, like, that just comes with being that. Like, sometimes, and for the most part, it's worked out for him. It's made things easier for him. But there are going to be times where, where it just doesn't work out, and you make enemies, and, And that's one of the reasons I think people raise Ken Roxon so clean or AP so clean. Like they're so friendly, respectful to everybody. It's like it's easier for them to go out there and do battle and know they're not going to get cleaned out. But when you kind of approach it like Haiden does, for right or wrong, it's not my place. For right or wrong, it's just it's kind of just the nature of the game, right? I mean, you gotta know it's coming at some point.
And that's what I feel like if you look at just different racers of the past, like it can help you being an aggressive style rider, and then it can help you being a friendly one. But it's give and take, both ways. Like people know not to mess with Jason, and um, it's helped him probably more times than it's hurt him, maybe. But then there's been times where it's also hurt him. So it's like, I don't know. And that's the thing. I don't want to be, the villain. Like I don't. That's not really me. But I'm also not just going to be like I would like to just be a nice in between. I mean, if I don't know if it comes
Like
down to
Justin
it.
Brayton.
There you go. Perfect. JB. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. I think it was actually good for me to show some aggression, and I think I I didn't feel good about it because obviously it screwed my race, but I was a little bit proud of myself for like actually throwing it in there because I don't typically do that. So um, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on the whole thing.
Levi, I'll come down this off season and give you some arena cross training on
Oh
how
boy, here we go.
execute a block pass nice and clean.
Please do,
Now
yeah,
let's
yeah.
yeah, we'll move on from that. We'll move on from that. Well said. Let's talk about your year a little bit. Obviously, you come into Supercross. We're talking about you. You're the title favorite. You had a great season last year. You've got speed to burn. You're one of the fastest guys, in that 250 class. You win Detroit, and then we go on to Daytona. You have that huge crash. How much has that affected you since then? I mean, I don't think we talk about it enough, honestly. And Adam and I know we've been in your shoes. We've had big crashes like that, and I don't think the fans realize how much time it actually takes you to get back to your old self. It's obviously affected you a lot moving forward, huh?
Yeah, for sure. And like you obviously never know what's really going on, and that's kind of how the whole thing at Daytona. Like I got on the bike not too long after, but I was just having some weird stuff that was scary, and like I've never had. That was my first back injury, and um, yeah, I was just having weird like panic attacks, and I'd wake up and I couldn't like my hands and my feet would be really tingly, and um, going to the gym and stuff like that. Like if I would lift too heavily, then my back would be super numb and tingly. Like there was just stuff that was weird and kind of scary, honestly. Like um, so it was more mental than anything. And then you go into outdoors, and I said I was ready, but maybe deep down in my head, I knew like I wasn't really at my best. I just wanted to almost kind of to lie to myself to try to do the best I could, and I feel I did okay for a few rounds. Had 4 podiums in a row, but by then it still just wasn't what it was going to take to win. And I think another thing that's tough is like, I've never really had a year where I've developed a bike with a team. I've always I was on Star. That was like the third year that model had been out, or fourth. Like that thing was dialed in. That was the before the newest one. Um, and then I signed with Mitch right when I think it was the third year on that kind of model, and they had it amazing. So then we get the 25 or whatever model we're on now. Anyway, and there was just a few things that were different that definitely were not the same as last year's, and it's gotten better. We've learned a lot as the seasons went on, but we've definitely been chasing a few things. And like we talked about earlier, when I have gotten starts, I've done very well, and I have not led a lap this year. So it's kind of unfortunately black and white. Like for me even to say that I have not led a lap is crazy, and it really makes me mad. But yeah, that's probably why I'm probably part of the reason why I was so eager to try to get to the front on the first lap at St. Louis. You know what I mean? It's like I just want to get back to the front and get some clean air. So yeah, I guess I said I haven't led a lap. I guess I was able to lead 2 laps at Detroit to win a main, but that's about it.
It's a good 2 laps to lead. Right
Mm-hmm.
there, that check still cashes, my friend. One of the things
Yes.
that's funny, one of the things I think is interesting in our sport is I was told growing up that it was always like 90% rider, 10% bike, and to an extent that's true. This isn't F1, this isn't NASCAR, where in those sports, you could put Max Verstappen in a Williams and he's going to go win the race. It's not possible. But for us, you can make up for a lot with the bike. But that 90, say if it's 80-20 or that 90-10 ratio, when you're at the top level of our sport, that 10% becomes very important. And I think as like fans in our sport, and even me sometimes, it's very easy to just kind of disregard that about the bike. When somebody's talking about developing a new motorcycle, it's like, I don't know, I don't think we put enough emphasis on that. So that's like something else that everything has to be so dialed for you to be consistently on the podium or in championship contention. Like, it's hard to do that and develop a bike at the same time. Um, but my question for you, Levi, I feel like in what JB said earlier, when a lot of us watch you ride and like on your good days, and I remember Anaheim 2, 2024, watching you ride, and I'm thinking to myself, like, when you're on it, to me, it's pretty clearly like you have that look of like, okay, this guy could really be something on a 450 as well. Like when you tap into that next level that you have and you get in the flow and body's good and everything's good, it's like, dude, you have such a high ceiling. But my question is, what do you think? We've talked about being more aggressive. What do you think it takes? What's it going to take for you to be? You came really close to a championship in 2024. Like, what are you looking for to kind of complete that potential that you have and kind of be able to show that more often?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, and that's the question I've been asking myself and doing, different things trying to figure it out, from, hiring a nutritionist and a mental coach, and I got Peter and I got, all these people in my corner now, and um it's just, I think I'm slowly getting there. And honestly, even just getting back into a stadium at St. Louis, like, uh, I know the night was horrible result wise, but like I still didn't really. I don't know. Maybe you guys would understand, but I haven't had a time like from gate drop to finish yet this year where like I really feel good. Like I don't know why that is, or like you just, your best races are normally the ones you like almost can't really remember what happened and you're just in that zone. And um I haven't really felt that. I have bursts of it, like I'll do a couple laps, or in qualifying, like I can easily go fast enough. I just haven't felt that in a race like that comes effortless. And when that speed starts to come effortless, it's the best thing ever. And like that's where I was last year, and that's where I was at Daytona before I completely, ate shit. Like that's where that's what I'm trying to tap back into. It's just, man, it's been really hard, but I know that you don't just lose that, and I'm gonna find it. It's just, um, you know, I don't know. Maybe now we're obviously the season's pretty much almost done, and this weekend I'm gonna go into it with the same mindset and just try to show some good speed and do the best I can. And then I know that, this boot camp, like, I'm hitting it hard with Peter. I feel I was in the best shape of my life coming into Supercross this year, and unfortunately, I got sick and then had to build back up. Then I got hurt. Then I built back up, and like it's just been up and down. But ready for a fresh start next year, and you know, I think Supercross now I've started to realize, especially with me on a 250 at least, where because I'm 180 pounds, 175 to 180 now, so like I'm pretty big on it, and Supercross, I for sure know that I can, like, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Outdoors
Yeah.
now, I felt it this summer, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I felt like there was times where I was working twice as hard as everybody around me, and I'm still back there in
Been
fifth.
there.
So yeah, no, I know you've been there, and even me and RJ had that conversation on a flight home. He's like, dude, just wait till you get on a 450, man, because like 250's horsepower does mean a lot, and you have to figure out a new way to ride, and that's kind of what I need to learn how to do going into outdoors next year. Garrett got it down, like he's a big dude, but he would just rip the outsides, and um, I've always been kind of like short in the track kind of guy, so it works great on a 450. Like, even it sucks because I'll go watch tape like this weekend in St. Louis, and every 450 guy's inside in the sand, inside in the sand. But then I get past going inside in the sand, and I'm like, dude, like what? But it's different. You got to ride the bike different, in my opinion. So, uh, yeah, I'm trying to kind of learn how to do that, I suppose, and just keep my momentum up. So,
Nice. I love it. Well, I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but we've been speculating a lot. There's potentially an empty seat over there at Monster Energy Kawasaki on a 450. We know you have a 250 deal with Mitch, but have you thought about it at all? Like, has there been any talks of you potentially getting on a 450?
I mean, I've thought about it for sure, and I even told, like, I pretty much made it a point to the guys at Cowie, like, hey, and obviously if Mitch was on board and like everything just fell together, like I just wanted them to know I'm totally down. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where I stand on it. I don't think that that's going to happen, to be honest. But yeah, if outdoors comes around, they're like, hey, we need you to hop on this thing. I'm all there for it. Like I rode 450s for, almost 3 years, and then, or 2 years. So I really like them. Um, and yeah, I mean, do I want to stay in the 250 class and try to get some wins? Yeah. And, like, as far as my goals, I'm going to be pretty disappointed if I can't get a Supercross championship. Like, that is my goal right now. I feel like I had two good shots now, and I feel like I've been at least a contender of it. So, uh, I have a 2-year deal with Mitch now moving forward, and those are my goals is just to, yeah, try to get a Supercross title. Obviously outdoor title too would be sick, but like main focus for me is a Supercross championship.
Okay, so I'm riding the test track tomorrow. I'm going to ride Supercross at K1 because I'm doing the track preview at Vegas for the broadcast. So basically, what you're saying is don't show, from my side of things, don't show too much potential. Don't show. You want me to keep the speed buttoned up just in case I need to make a call to the 47.
That's exactly right. Yeah, just don't
No problem. I got you.
don't show any of that speed, dude. I know it's probably still in there somewhere,
It's in there. It's in
No,
there.
but
no, it's not. It's not. It's gone.
yeah,
Long time.
Have you rode much lately at all?
No, I rode Glen Helen last Thursday, stock 250, the 2026 250 media intro. And dude, when I go out and ride now, I don't ever try hard, but I thought I was putting in a couple decent laps the other day. I only rode one time vet track Fox Raceway this summer on my 450. But dude, I had kids on 125s blowing by me,
You hate to
by
see
me,
that.
dude. Yeah, it really is brutal. It's a tough hit to the confidence. So prayers up for me tomorrow on a Supercross track.
Do you get to actually? Will you? I wondered this. So, like, do you have a bike? That bike you rode at Fox, like you
I
keep
do.
that at your house or what? Do you?
I
Did
do.
you get
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
keep? What? What up? Oh, I was gonna say,
Nothing.
do you get to keep like all your good stuff on it?
I should know this. But I believe I have like my suspension set up. I got outdoor suspension on the bike. I got it looks like the bike I rode, but feels like the bike I rode for the most part. But I don't think the motor's like
Yeah,
done up. There's no way they
yeah,
would let me just have that in my garage. But
probably not.
I'm actually I got to take the bike. I got to take the bike to Cowie today because they're going to put some suspension on it and give it a once over for me because there's no way I'm going. Vet track's different story. There's no way I'm going out on a Supercross track with a AC tuned 450, dude. It's not happening.
No, that would be a little dangerous. That's not smart.
Levi, we got to crawl before we can walk with the non. I mean, we just got a ramp, so we're loading our bike ourselves now. We got a gas can. We're putting gas in ourselves, so we
Chain lube.
definitely don't know what suspension or engine we got. I mean, that
No.
might be 12 months from now.
Hey, JB, you know what? I do know I have the fat bar on there. And
Dude,
hey,
you both need
Levi,
some twin walls, man. Both of you need some
What?
996 twin walls on those bikes.
tell him, Levi. Tell him, dude, this guy's all twin wall all the time. The fat bar, it's lighter, more flex, easier in the hands, less arm pump. JB, I saw you those last couple years, man, going over the triples, shaking that thing out.
Come on.
You had a fat
Hey,
bar, you'd be fine.
the twin walls wouldn't have flexed that much through those ruts. Crossing those 4 ruts, you might have stayed up.
Oh boy.
Not much flex there.
Yeah. Hey, Mitch. You know that was one of Mitch's things, right? Like you weren't allowed to run a fat bar until Joe Shimoda in 23, I think it was. So yeah, there was nobody liked the fat bar. Or
Yep.
sorry, JB. Nobody did like the twin wall on PC, and now everybody runs the fat bar besides Marchbanks and McAdoo. Those are the only
Yep.
two guys that run a crossbar. But
Love it.
I'm
Love
not
it.
picky. You could throw a twin wall on my bike, I'll run it. I don't care.
You'd be fine. Really?
That's on brand.
Yeah, I'm not very picky with much, except where my sag is at. I'm pretty picky. Like how my bike sits, that's where I get kind of, a little crazy, I would say sometimes. I can't have a tall rear end. I hate that.
Last question. Yeah, me too. Chop that thing out, dude. I'll figure it out like RV. Just spray the top of the turns. Last question for you, Levi. I appreciate your time. How's the golf game right now? Where are we at?
Dude, the golf game's pretty decent. Like obviously just like normal kind of hit or miss, but I shot my best back the other day. I shot 1 under on the back. Was 10 over on the front, if that tells you kind of crazy how that can
Wow.
happen, but yeah, shot 81. I don't know. I've been anywhere from, I would say, let's say that 81 to 86, like in there, but it's been pretty consistent right around there. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with my golf game right now.
Have you been playing with Ken?
A little bit. We played a Thursday night scramble a couple weeks ago. But we were actually talking about it today. I would like to get out this week with him, but I don't know. He's not bad. He barely plays, and he's decent.
Well, he's been claiming that he's like off the tee. He's straight now. He's been shooting good. He's been like he's full. Like the last 2 weeks, he's just been claiming his golf game's next level. So
Well, I don't know. You got to play with him because I wouldn't say it's next level, but
Bro, there's so many times Ken is so funny. He's like I said, he's like a goldfish with his attention span. There's so many times with Ken, he's like, dude, I'm super into golf right now. Like, let's get out on a nice course. Like when I lived on Bella Colina. And we lost him. All right, Levi. Now we're inside. We've got the Wi-Fi. You look 4K, crystal clear. But yeah, Ken on a golf course, man. There's so many times when I lived on Bella Colina, he'd be so stoked to come play, and he's got the attention span of like I don't know, man, like a cat or something. Because we'd get out on the course, I'd be all stoked. He'd be like 4 holes in, and he'd just look over at me, and be like, I'm kind of over it. Are you over it too? And I'm like, dude, we're 4 holes in. Like, we're 4 holes in, man. I'm like, not even close to over it. But that's funny. All right, Levi, you mind answering a couple questions real quick, then we'll let you go. Fan questions.
yep, sounds good.
yeah, I have one for you right here, Levi. How did Mitch respond to the move on Deegs?
Mitch was pretty happy just because I haven't been aggressive in the past and I need to be more aggressive. So he didn't mind. He just said I need to practice not falling down when I do it. Um, and but yeah, other than that, he didn't seem too mad.
And my only question, and this is not a fan question, this is a me question. Well, I mean, I guess I'm a Levi Kitchen fan. What do you think now that the season goes late into September? How much does that affect your off season? How much time you take off when you start training again? Like, what's that look like for you?
I mean, it's definitely it shortens it up, but now that I train with Peter and Chase, like Chase doesn't start training until second week of November normally, so he's pretty late. Star, we used to start before October was even up, so um, no, it's actually nice for me. And honestly, I always feel like 5 weeks on the bike before Anaheim, and I'm pretty much like it's as fast as you're gonna get me. I feel like if I, you know how it goes, you start doing like too many laps, it's like your percentages of a stupid crash just go up. You're not as like I feel like sometimes you're not as focused maybe every day at the track. So um, no, I'll go on vacation, go to Hawaii for a couple weeks. My buddy Matt LeBlanc's getting married. I'll be in that wedding, so do that, hang out, and then go to Santa Barbara and start climbing some ridiculous hills on bicycles.
Gibraltar, man, Gibraltar, good times up there. Well, Levi, appreciate you taking the time, coming on the show. Big fan favorite across the board. I think there's a lot of people rooting for you. Let's have a little bit less controversial of a weekend in Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Yeah, we'll just see. We'll have to see what Vegas brings. I don't know.
Good stuff from Levi Kitchen right there. And Adam, I think all of it was well said, man. Obviously, nothing intentional there, even though there has been some words exchanged in the past 12 months or so. But he needs some arena cross training.
He does. He needs some. Yeah, he needs to go up to Iowa, do a little training camp with JB. But my experience with Levi is he's always been very honest, kind of laid back, not afraid to be who he is. And even I thought it was cool the stuff that he said. Like when I asked him, "What's he got to do to get to that championship level?" He's honest about where he's at, where a lot of athletes in his position wouldn't be. So much appreciated, Levi. Let's get to our next guest. Yeah, that's a good one, JB.
This is going to be good. BD, Brent Duffe. Brent Duffe, thanks for taking the time on the show today. We appreciate it. You were just mentioning, man, you just landed back in Tallahassee, just getting back from St. Louis.
Yeah, it's a long travel weekend for a mechanic. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon here on Monday and just got in, so gonna grab the afternoon off. This is my day off is Monday afternoon, and then we'll be back at it Tuesday and Wednesday and fly to Vegas on Thursday.
And Brent, I didn't realize this until we were about to go live here on air, but you and JB, you guys worked together for a long time. What was that like, and what years what years were you guys together?
Yeah, those were, some of the great years. We started together in the end of 2015 and worked through till 2021. I want to say 2 years in there, I was a practice guy only in America, and but every overseas race we did, I think we got 4 or 5 Aussie championships together, a bunch of Geneva titles, and a lot of frequent flyer miles. I've got some pictures of this guy sleeping on an airplane.
I will say I have to give Duff a ton of credit because I'll never forget it was the end of 2016. I was moving I was moving away from the team I currently was on. And Duff, I'll never forget you came to my house. We were sitting I think it was just sitting in my office or the gym or something. And I said,
Yeah.
look, I'm going to go to Australia. I have this deal to go to Australia, and I don't have anything in America. I feel like I have a plan of what I want to put together. And Duff had an offer on the table from a factory team to go rent for one of the best teams, and he stuck with me and like believed in kind of the program that I was going to lean towards, which was Supercross only, and go to Australia and race in Europe and race in America. So Duff, I don't know, I know I've thanked you personally, but I think that says a lot about your character.
Thank you. Yeah, I will never forget that conversation because, yeah, there was a lot of doubt and uncertainty, but man, two Iowa boys working together in 2015, and we had so much fun together, and I just believed in everything. Not it's just about your riding, but the people you surrounded yourself with, and I really feel like that decision really changed my path, and not just because of where I've ended up, but like how how I've changed and matured into this mechanic, and just the values you guys have. Like you're a good guy to spend a lot of time with.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I imagine your guys' dynamic, both you guys being from Iowa, nice dudes. I know JB well. I imagine you like helping JB set his whole shot device like before the main event at Anaheim, and JB being like, "Thanks, man." Like, was that kind of the dynamics?
Yeah, he was really nice, but he was kind of quiet on the line. Like I was never scared of him, but man, he made me nervous when he put a helmet on.
All business when
Yeah,
you put the helmet in. Yeah, we had some times, man. I just think about, I think one of my biggest selling points, Duff, was, I was a little bit older, where you're a little bit younger than me, but I think just enjoying life overall and traveling the world. And now I look back at what we accomplished together. I mean, so many trips to Australia. I mean, and a lot of mechanics, you can vouch for this. A lot of riders were jealous of my program, but mechanics were jealous of your program because you were on the lake all summer, then you were on the beach in Australia all fall, and then you were Supercross only in America. So we
yeah.
were living the dream for a few years.
Oh man, it made it rough to go back to regular life after that. Like going from that to all of a sudden 250 Supercross and then an outdoor series. Like I hadn't been to an outdoor national since I think you and I went and watched one at Budds Creek.
And Brent, for those, I'm sure you've answered this question a thousand times, but for our viewers, how did it come about? When did you start working with Haiden, and how did that come about?
Yeah, when I came to Star, I thought it was uh I didn't want to go to the 250 class. So when there was an opportunity to work for Christian Craig, they said it was 250 Supercross and then 450s after that. And turns out Christian was only locked in for that 1 year. And when they didn't offer him a 450 deal, they said you had to renew your 250 deal to make it up. Christian went to, another team, and that's when I was available, Brian came up, approached me and said he wanted me to work with Hayden. And he was looking for an older mechanic. And there's a lot of young mechanics out there, and I think he wanted a guy that that knew the ropes. And I'd been in the 450 class for years, and uh, yeah, it worked out really good.
I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, not too shabby. Let's get into this past week, and obviously a huge talking point was that second 250 moto. But I want to touch on the first moto a little bit. what a dominating performance. I mean, it was a snooze fest. Duff, were you just giving him lap times and just slowly pulling away? It was incredible ride from Haiden in Moto 1.
Yeah, there comes a time, when the gap gets so big that I can't get the lap time of the second guy. So I just start telling him how big his gap is, and that's what even with that little tip over, he still made it an awesome race to watch. The boring ones were the best ones,
Yeah.
but you follow the trend throughout the weekend. Fastest on Friday, and then fastest qualifier, full shot. It was awesome to have like watch that. I love watching him send it on a clear track, fresh prep. Like that's when you can see real speed.
Well,
And every
Adam,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but you actually said when we were watching that Moto 1, you looked at me and said, just watch Haiden for a full lap. Watch him for a full lap. He is absolutely ripping.
Yeah, it was one of those things. It's one of those times where you see a rider and you know that they're not thinking about anything other than just what they're doing. They're so, I think Hayden's got to a point, and you could speak to this, Brent, but just where he's so confident in what he does. He doesn't question himself at all. And I just thought, yeah, that was on full display. Brent, my question is for you. You mentioned your dynamic with JB. Each rider, each mechanic, you guys have your own personalities, and then you kind of create this working relationship. And some guys need to be pumped up, some guys need to be calmed down. What's that dynamic like between you guys?
It's pretty cool. You know, Working with older riders like JB and Christian, they've been racing for a long time. They're older, they're adults, they're set. Like you just have to learn them as a person. But to start with Hayden, man, he was 16 years old when I started working for him. And I think you got to factor in, the growth and development of him growing into an adult. So it's been, I think I've got a really good, like I'll call it the upper hand on this because I've watched him grow into a man and I've been around the whole time. So uh yeah, I didn't watch him grow up, but he respects me a lot because I've been around for a lot of good and bad with him. And we have a good relationship. I can get through to him. Uh he'll listen to me and respect me, which, I think everything Brian Deegan does is calculated. And, putting someone like me in that position, I think he factored in an adult figure for Hayden to have with him that he will respect and will listen to. So I think that's worked out exactly as he's planned.
Duff, let's talk about that second moto. What did you see from your viewpoint? Because a lot of people listening to this from the mechanics area, you oftentimes can't see a lot. So obviously, we had Levi on the show earlier in this show, and he walked us through his viewpoint. He's obviously on the bike. He didn't mean to go in that hard. He crossed the ruts, took Hayden down. But from your point of view, did you see it go down? Did you have to watch it on replay, or walk us through that?
Now, so the mechanics area is on the other side of the tunnel, and you're looking at the back side of that berm, and I can see him come over the wall. Like third, good, because it wasn't a great start, but he made some quick passes and like
Yeah.
that sneaky inside roll on off. That was huge. So I was, I'm like third place, sweet, and then they dip into the berm, and then I just see him come over the side of it, and I had no idea what happened. Just heard Hayden down, and yeah, I could see Hayden was down.
And it looked like JB and I were doing the post race show. So we walked down towards the end of that 250 main. And so we were right there when Hayden got off the motorcycle. And I thought you did a great job in that moment. As a rider, it's so difficult. You just want to go rip the guy's head off. But kind of walk us through that. Walk us through what that was like in the aftermath, kind of right after that incident when Hayden got off the motorcycle.
Yeah, I think there's a video floating around of when Hayden comes off, and I'm the first one too. I'm telling him no, 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 because he was hot. I think every racer that's had any kind of run in during a race, you just fume the whole time, and the whole race you're just mad about it. And when your heart rate's up, you're not calming down. So we knew he was going to be upset, and you know, Brian actually came on the headset towards the end of the race and said, "Hey, when he comes off, he's going to be hot, so you got to make sure you cool him down a little bit." And I didn't see the pass happen. So in my mind, I'm upset too. But it was nice to get that reminder from, Brian said it, someone else on the team had said, make sure you calm them down. But like that straightened me up a little bit too. Like, yes, like yeah, this is do not let this get out of control. But yeah, Hayden was hot when he came off the track and basically just had to, stop him and being that guy that he will listen to. I think he quickly realized, like, yep, yep, I need to calm down. I need to take a breath.
Yeah, it shows a ton of maturity from not only him but from you. I mean, you mentioned Brian being calculated. That's the exact situation that he's calculated about, having a guy like you that's level-headed. And you've been a rider, Duff. You're a high-level rider yourself, and you've probably been in these situations at a local level. Adam and I have been in these at a high level where you literally are just seeing red. When your helmet's on, the only thing you want to do is you would want to find Levi Kitchen in that moment and try to fight him, right? I mean, it was 24 hours earlier where Haiden was telling us at the press conference where he was doing some boxing that week with Jake Paul. So it's weird how this weekend like ended up that way.
Yeah.
But after the fact, everyone then Haiden rides away and Levi rides away. How about walk us through back in the pits, in the truck, walk us through how the interaction was with Haiden after the race.
Yeah. So I know we hopped on the bike when like the track workers had to go out and prep the track. So all the 250 guys hadn't come off yet. And the bulldozer started pulling out, and Levi was pulling up, and they held him. And I was like, no, 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 send him. But they held him. So that's when I had to run around the front of a moving bulldozer to stop Hayden. And, you know, Levi rolls out, and then we let him get a good gap. And then we rolled back to the pits. And I talked to Hayden outside for a second, and he was fuming, but he was listening. And then by the time we made it to where we hop off the bike and push into the stadium, now he's talking to me like, "All right, what are my points? What do I need to do next weekend? Uh, what was the overalls?" And so he was more interested in damage control at this point and not, revenge. He's already changed his thought, and yeah, he was still upset, but not, I would say, mad or screaming or anything like that. The look he had on the video when he came off the track. And if we walked right by the PC Cowie truck, you have to go right past it to go to our truck. And Levi's bike's on the stand, Levi's sitting on the chair, and Levi's, looking down at the ground. He's upset. Hayden didn't look at him, didn't say a word to him. He just walked straight to the truck and then sat on the step, was upset for a minute, and then just, you know, really trying to figure out what we have to do for next weekend. And he went and got his gear off. I pulled the engine out of the bike, and I expected to not see Hayden again. Like, I wouldn't have blamed him if he would have just left and went home. And I get the engine out, and I turn around, and Hayden's standing there in his street clothes, and he's talking to other guys on the team. And you would not have thought that that race just happened the way it did, because he's laughing and talking to people like forgot about it. And he was there until we hooked up to the trailers with the semis and drove him out of there. He literally stayed in the pits and hung out and signed autographs and took pictures with fans all night long.
And that's one of the things, I think that's a side of Hayden that people don't see often, right? You see him on the podium, press conferences, and like he's not scared to, his whole brand is he's just not scared to say. It reminds me of like a UFC fighter in a way.
Yes.
But there's also in what he talks about, even I thought it was interesting, him talking about how he doesn't think about dirt bikes when he's not riding dirt bikes. And I think, man, that's a superpower. Like, it's a superpower. And to be able to turn the page like that, and like you said, I think that says a lot about him and one of the reasons he's been able to be so good. It's like you would never expect. How many riders have you worked for where that would have not gone like that? To be able to brush something off, I mean, that's a big part of why he's, it's why where you guys are where you are.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is where you're going to focus your energy. If you're upset about it, you're not going to learn from it or, you know, find a solution, right? You have to change your attitude, change your mood, make a plan. You can't just react on emotion. So it's cool to see him growing and maturing in that aspect. There's been times in the past where he's come off and yeah, got in people's faces, and you know, everyone likes to spread those clips everywhere when they happen, and you don't get anything out of it. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help your image. It doesn't help the result, and it's cool to see Hayden like learning from everything he's done. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way, but that's a sign of maturity and that he's I would say growing and ready to move up. Like he's controlling himself now. I, yeah, I think he's in a good spot.
Duff, last thing for me before we maybe do a couple fan questions, if you don't mind, or if AC has another question. But we did see a video. Obviously, Hayden jumped on the 450. Press release came out. He signed his 450 deal. How was he? You were there. He rode it for a few days. How was it?
He's fast. He's fast. You know, the Star 250 is fast, and when a guy like Hayden says, he doesn't say the bike's slow, but he says if he can make this bike faster, I will go faster. So he got a 450, and it was kind of like, put your money where your mouth is. Are you going to go faster? And he really, really did. And I don't think they want me to share lap times, but I'll tell you, they were faster on a 450.
Really?
Yeah, he was a lot faster on it. Like he's got the speed, he's got all the power that he wants now, and yeah, he's good. I think that the 450 is going to be good for his style because the way that he just almost overrides a 250, uh, the 450 kind of checks him up a little bit and uh, maybe fixes some of the errors in his technique, the little mistakes he makes. Because you've got to respect the bike more. It kind of like I think it smoothed him out as a rider.
My last question for you, Duff, is do you think it's going to be difficult to keep him on a 250 going into 26? Is he the type of guy that's going to be like, come on, guys, come on, let me get out there. Let me get out there.
I've thought about that and like, well, I could think to like his rookie Supercross season. He was supposed to do all the futures races, and they said you can do some East Coast rounds, but we're going to make you do at least two futures races. That way, he would have missed the first couple Supercrosses and not been in the points, and and then he could do a couple and get ready for a pro motocross pro debut. And he did that one futures race, crashed, got sixth, and then begged the team to let him turn pro. So he did it, and it was a learning year, and I think he learned a lot. I I don't. I want to figure like I'm trying to weigh out what's more important to him, like another 250 Supercross championship, depending on what coast you do. Try to go back to back West Coast and race some 450 East Coast, or you try to go East Coast, and I don't know. I've He hasn't ridden Supercross on the 450 yet, but based off what he's done in the past, learning years are huge on him. So I don't know how he's going to take a learning season on a 450. I could see him wanting to do it, but I'm just along for the ride, man. Whatever bike he wants to race, I'll build it.
Us too. There's a lot of good in store for us in 26. Can't wait.
Yeah.
You care if we do a couple fan questions, Duff?
Yeah, throw him out. Throw him out there.
All right,
All
let's
right.
do it.
So, how were you able to confirm Hayden had a broken lever, and how do the rider and mechanic communicate when a situation like this happens? Is there anything you put on the board?
I didn't know the front brake was gone. I really didn't know. Will Christian told me.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's a black lever. And I'm trying to watch him go by, and my vision's not good. I got my contacts in. I can't see anything at that speed. He's on the opposite side of me, so I couldn't even tell. And I thought she had told me there's a little bit of a piece left on it. I was like, oh well, he'll be all right. And then didn't have anything left after the race.
Dude,
And actually,
riding.
Duff, to that point, there was we obviously seen the takeout,
Yep.
but he crashed again. I don't know if a lot of people know that. He crashed
Yeah.
again in the rhythm lane, and if it maybe wasn't for that, he maybe still ends up in the top 10.
I think he definitely stays in the top 10. And I
Mhm.
know there's a video of it. Like there has to be because I was watching him on the big screen and it was in that rhythm and it was that crash was a little bit more violent than
Yeah.
the first one. Like I'm glad he was able to get up and get out of that one.
Mm-hmm.
But
What I was gonna say, it's crazy to me because watching him come through the pack, I mean, you could tell it took him a second to get going after that second fall. But guys, I mean, you know too, Duff, as a rider, like trying to ride a supercross track without a front brake, I'm good. No thanks.
yeah, his lap times were still good too. Uh, for the first few laps, he was only a second off, but he was matching pretty good. But I know that when Hayden's out there, he's going to give everything he's got. So for him to not match that pace, I was like, something's wrong with the bike. But um, yeah, I didn't realize that the front brake lever was gone.
So, does Duff like JB Calm or the hectic Deegan vibes better?
Uh, the the Deegan vibes aren't really that hectic. They're normal to me now. At first I was blown away with the amount of people there. Uh, like he brings so many people to the pits.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the JB Calm was nice because JB Calm had us all over the world, and we could, man, the JB days are unbeatable, man. Not even just the environment, but the places we went. It was so good.
The sunny coast, man. The sunny coast in Australia.
The sunny coast was my second home.
Yep.
I don't know if Hayden had talked about it, but after the crash, why wasn't he able to make up more position? Was it the brake situation or because of the track layout that made it difficult to pass?
Yeah, I would. You got to factor in the second crash too. That's the big one because he was still in the pack when he was going the first time, and then when he dropped way off the back, he's no front brake lever, and he's all by himself. And then the pack spreads out a little bit. I think that was just that no front brake just takes the edge away, especially on a track like not that it was a technical track. It was you were able to just send it everywhere. I think, and you take one vital part away, it slows you down.
That's
My
it.
last question, or do we have any more fan questions, Cole?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Duff, my last question for you, and you can dance around this one if you want. I'm kind of putting you on the spot. But in terms of strategy going into this weekend, of course, if he wins, Joe gets second. Joe still gets the title. So are we anticipating some maybe bunching the field up, Tomac style, Vegas 2017, or what do you think is going to happen?
I would not anticipate anything like that. I think Hayden's just a gamer. He shows up and races and kind of lets the cards play out as they're dealt. But I would not expect anything like that coming from my camp. Yeah, it's just going to be a heads up race, and you know, with the plan of winning it. And if something happens to Joe that benefits us, awesome. If not, that's racing, right? I think
Yep.
uh, I said 2 years ago on a Gypsy Tales podcast that I wasn't a fan of the point system of SMX, but that was even with Hayden being a two-time champ at that point. And one thing it does do is it makes it exciting. So
Mm-hmm.
even though I've never really agreed with the points structure, it's bringing some excitement to the final round.
Love it.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Duff. Appreciate it, man. Safe travels home, and we'll see you in Vegas.
sounds good. See you boys later.
Thanks, man. Brent Duffe, that's my first time talking to him. JB, I didn't know he was an Iowa guy.
Oh yeah.
That's your guy, man. He was cool.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was awesome. I've known him for a long time, and he's a really good racer in his own right. Like I remember, I had moved away when he was kind of moved up to the A class, moved to California. But I remember hearing him winning some local races, or hearing about him winning quite a bit. And then, yeah, he worked for a couple friends of mine growing up, and was always kind of in the scene. And then once I had an opportunity to work with him, yeah, it was great. We hit it off right away. And I'll tell you what, man, he is a hard worker, and if he's your mechanic, he's got your back. Like 100% had my back for the longest time, never had any bike issues. And he's a grinder. So I was thankful to have spent as many years with him as I did. We traveled the world together, like he said, and I couldn't think of a better guy, than him to be in Hayden's corner. And I think it spoke volumes of what he did this weekend. Could have been easy for him to push Kitchen or let Hayden
Yeah.
go at him, and there's just too many consequences to that, and he realizes it. So, yeah, thanks, Duff, for coming on. That was a good interview.
Wouldn't surprise me at all if they stuck together for Deegan's entire career. Duff could be a Mike Gosler type. I'm calling
Yeah.
it. I'm calling it, JB. But yeah, thanks, Duff. Now that we tackled the main headline from the weekend, we got to give we got to give Joe some props. We had him on Race Day Live. He came up, and something about Joe, man, he's like you. He doesn't sweat. And I saw him sweating, and I did think to myself, like, oh, is this guy? He's got a fever. He's got the flu. What's going on? Little flu game for Joe Shimoda. I did think it's a good ride. 2-2. Haiden really put it to him in that first moto. And I did think Joe looked a little flat, kind of in the beginning, not his usual aggression level. But, dude, for being sick and gutting it out, you saw after, as soon as the second moto was over, too, he had his face in the bars. Dude, he gave it everything he had. You got to give Joe props. New points leader.
Yeah, super impressive weekend. Really from the time his wheels hit the track on Saturday. I mean, fastest in qualifying in Q1, which is not typical Joe.
No.
I think I read a stat. He was like average 7.7 or something in qualifying, which is crazy with how fast he is.
100, I think. Brett, our statistician, gave us a stat on air. I think it was like 165 total SMX starts, Supercross, Motocross. Only one fastest qualifier, 2022 Redbud. So yeah, Joe's on it when he's Cindy in practice.
Yeah, so he was Cindy in practice. Q2 wasn't great, but you could tell that he had some speed. And then you made a good point though. When we were watching Moto 1, Hayden kind of dropped him. You're like, this isn't Joe's track right now. It's fresh. It's brand new. You bring tons of intensity. So, yeah, typically Joe gets better late in the day. And I like that point you made because it's why he's not a great qualifier. A lot of times in qualifying, the track's fresh and just not his style.
And we're getting into his wheelhouse here. We're late in the year.
Mm-hmm.
We know how good he is late in the year, but I don't think Joe has ever been anywhere close to the position that he's in right now. Championship on the line, controls his own destiny. If he gets second to Hayden, he wins the title. So Joe, I think this would go a long way for him. He's kind of the next heir to the 250 class.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talking about how Joe's going to take over. So it'll be interesting. I think if this goes well for Joe, if he manages it well, manages his emotions, and you never really know how you're going to respond, right, until you're in that scenario. But if this goes well, I think that's going to give him an insane amount of confidence to close the deal in Supercross next year. But JB, if it doesn't go well, then just gives you a lot more to think about. It gives you a lot more to think about. So it's going to be a new experience for him to try to close this thing.
Yeah, I really think if he closes this out, and how he has to do that, Hayden wins, Joe has to get second, and he wins the championship, which is it's hard to do, but it's very likely because that's how they've been seemingly all year. But I think if he can close this out and get second or do whatever he has to do to win, I think he's heavy favorite for double titles next year. Supercross and Motocross.
Wow.
Or triple titles. Let's call it triple titles now. Supercross, Motocross, and SMX. If he doesn't, I'm with you, Adam. I'm with you, man. Like I just think it's a long off season. You start to overthink stuff. It's the first time in this position. You don't quite know how you're going to react. And if he reacts well, he can then have confidence that, oh, all right, I can just be myself. That's how I'm going to react all the time. If the pressure gets to him, man, it's for sure going to leak over into 2026, right?
You would think. You would think you would have to. And that's scar tissue.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough way to get away from. I think if you're clutch early on in your career, that belief just then you're just thinking to yourself, this is what I do. And then Joe kind of just becomes that guy. But we're getting to the point with Joe where it's like, if he's ever going to do it, if he's going to make that step and be a guy that wins consistently, that, you go to the gate every weekend, because there's been an element even this year, you're not quite sure what you're going to get still. Mm-hmm. He's got enough experience now we're getting to that point where it's like, okay, if he's going to step up and be the guy in the 250 class next year, it kind of needs to start happening, that's going to dramatically affect the offers on the 450 too. Any first year 450 guy, whether it gets 1 year, couple years, like this is going to be, it's a big moment for Joe Shimoda. But solid win, gutted it out, sick. What else did you see? 250 class. I mean, I there wasn't really a whole lot going on besides, of course, what we've talked about so far.
Yeah, I just want to give Seth Hammaker some more kudos all year, man.
I'm always here for that.
Since you called it at Indy, you called his win at Indy, and since that day, he's been awesome, man. He just has. He's right in the mix. He's third in SMX right now. He is 14 points down, so it's possible. I mean, Seth wins, something happens to Haiden, Joe finishes back. Like, Hammaker's still in this deal. And remember, he got docked 5 points in Charlotte.
That's true.
He really needs those 5 points right now.
And I mean, look, yeah, the only other thing, of course, props to Seth. You know, I'm big Hammaker guy, as you said. I did call this resurgence here. But then you have, you know, Hammaker's got a shot. Of course, Joe's got a shot. Hayden's got a shot. But then you have guys like Vial. 10-1 this weekend. Completely, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he put orange plastics on a Yamaha in between motos or what was going on. But in the 250 class, you kind of have that. We spoke about Levi Kitchen. There's a few guys that could go out there any given night and get in the mix and kind of get in between that. So if I'm on paper, it has been Haiden and then Joe and then kind of everybody else. We're kind of at that point right now, especially with these hybrid tracks, where it's not going to be, I don't think it could turn out that way, but it's not as easy as it sounds for Joe to just go out there and get second. Especially what I just saw from when Vial's on and aggressive and into it, that guy is really, really good. Like really good. So if that Vial shows up next weekend, it's like Joe's got to be on his P's and Q's as well. There could be some chaos in both classes this weekend. And I'm not just trying to hype it up just to, you know, hype it up for no reason, but I really do think in the 250 class it could get pretty nuts.
Yeah, I think more nuts than the 450 class. I think it's going to be pretty standard at the front. I think Eli's going to be great. Hunter's going to be great. Jett's going to be great, like they have been. But the 250 class and the track map, looking at it, it looks really fast, really outdoorsy.
Give me a Tomac dub. Give me just inject a Tomac win into my veins. I know we're not supposed to be biased, but I think the fans will give me a pass on this one. Cool. I would love to see Eli go out on top on the Yamaha JB. And you know what? I'm really excited. I'm really excited to do this track preview thing Friday. I'm going to get out there. Just got a time. Be out on the track around 11 a.m.
Ooh.
Dude. You going to be there? You going to be lining the fences to see some greatness?
I'm going to be on the track. I'm not going to be on the fence. I'm going to be inside the fence.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we're going to test out, I think maybe the in-helmet communication thing again that we did in New Jersey this year. Dude, I'm actually, so I'm riding K1 tomorrow, like I talked about. And then I'm going to drive to Vegas. I'm not flying.
Nice.
I'm going to drive my bike there. I'm going to drive my bike on Thursday, go straight to the track, drop it off at Cali, and then I'm going to the golf course. Myself, Tyler Keefe, we're going to get around in. And then Friday it's on, dude. I'm going to get a massage on Thursday night, make sure I'm stretched up, ready to go.
Do we need a stopwatch or anything, or we need 2.7 out there? We need Nick Way to come out?
We do need
on the pit board?
Yeah. I'm going to see what I can do. Maybe Nick can give me a discount this weekend.
Speaking of golf, you mentioned golf. We have to give Nate Thrasher some credit. 6'4", third overall. We saw Nate we see him on Friday on the streets of St. Louis. We just talked golf. That's it.
Yep. Him and his wife went to Nashville with my girlfriend, Ashley. They went and they had a great time. And yeah, Ashley just couldn't say enough good things about her in general. And every time I'm around Nate, we played that Road to Recovery tournament with him before Salt Lake. I've played with him out here a few years ago in California. Just a dude that's easy to root for.
Yeah.
Like kind of country boy, just good manners. You know, he's a yes sir, yes ma'am type of kid. And it's kind of weird to me that he's so much better, it seems like, at more Supercross style stuff than outdoors, because his style seems to lend itself to both, but that's obviously where he's most comfortable. And yeah, Nate's one of those guys that could get 8th 5 weekends in a row and then just get second or win or get third. Yeah. So a little bit of confidence injected back into Nate. So who knows? He could be a spoiler guy this weekend too.
Kind of like Pierce Brown last year. Pierce Brown out of nowhere wins Vegas.
Where is Pierce Brown? Is he okay?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Not sure. Obviously, had a crash late in motocross, and we haven't seen him. Haven't heard from him.
Sometimes when it rains, it pours. That kid's good. Yeah, that kid's really good on a bike, and he's one of those guys. Yeah, he's one of those guys that, like, throughout the industry, everybody knows how fast he is.
Yeah,
on a dirt bike. So he gets it together. He was looking real good at Tampa before it went south. Yeah. That's another one next year, man. We're pumping it up. But JB, dude, I don't know if you have anything else, but I thought that was a great show. Great couple of guests. And from my side of things, again, I just want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for making this show possible, for listening, making it your show. It's yours as much as it's ours. Appreciate the likes, the subscribes, the comments. You guys are awesome. And let's finish this season out strong.
Let's do it. On to Vegas.